Thank you everybody for joining in. We're going to have a pretty interesting session today. Ahead of time, I apologize for being a little bit distracted with letting people in. And that's kind of the reality of doing this while I'm also presenting. Welcome everybody who's also here from our AI product management page on LinkedIn. So I can see a bunch of people are there as well. The presentation that we're going to go over today is about how do you become an AI product manager? This is a very hot topic, especially given that it's a very attractive space right now for product managers. As we know, the pay also is higher for AI product managers. The retention rate is higher. Nobody's laying off AI product managers. And they're actually in very high demand. There was a stat recently that we saw that Amazon realized that 65% of their enterprise clients are struggling with finding AI talent. And that really speaks to the high demand that's out there. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. I'm Bijan, founder of PM Exercises. We've been in business for about 6 years now. And since the beginning, it was a kind of a mission-driven company that it's not really optimizing for profitability or anything like that. It's optimizing for helping people become better product managers. It really started from my own set of experiences that I had in the industry, trying to prepare for interviews. So that was what we were focused on for the first few years. And with AI, we decided this is kind of the next big thing for the PM community. I think that we're going to enter a world where just like communication skills, having a deep understanding of how AI works is going to be one of the expectations for any product manager in any job. And today we call them AI product managers, but tomorrow we're just going to call them product managers. And we have some good stats on the success in landing jobs among people that have used our platform to prepare for their interviews. We provide ongoing education. This really applies to a couple different things. Not only that, we have a lot of users who go through our platform, use our platform to prepare for their interviews, but they also use it on an ongoing basis to become better PMs. But we actually do this also on the AI product management side. In fact, you get access to everything for a few years afterwards, going through the cohort. And the reason for it is we understand there's a lot that's happening in the space. Things are changing a lot, and you taking a course or cohort now might not be sufficient for your skill sets to be updated like a year later, right? So anything that we share and develop on an ongoing basis will be available to you for a 3-year period. And right now, PMX says is really focused on having the best AI product manager learning program out there. I can say with confidence, we were the first ones in the world that decided this is so complex that needs its own cohort. And we've had 5 successful learning programs so far, but now we're expanding it. When you're part of the program, you get things like access to a community, ongoing learning. You get access to an AI assistant that helps you become more productive. But what I'm also very excited about is the opportunity for me to get to meet other people, other very influential people in the AI space. For example, Kai is one of them. I've been very lucky and honored to get to know him. I want to actually pass it to him, do his own intro, and then I'll come back and continue. So go ahead, Kai.
Sure. Thanks, Bijan. Hey, folks. My name is Kai. I'm currently the lead product manager for the AI platform team here at Uber. I manage the Uber's internal end-to-end machine learning platform called MechAngel that powers 100% of Uber's machine learning use cases. These are the use cases such as rider pricing, driver incentives, promotions, driver matching, eats delivery, ETA, maps ETA, and also things like our Eats home feed recommendations, all the way to customer services and also fraud detection. So it covers both the traditional machine learning and also the recent generative AI use cases at Uber. I will be leading this cohort, AI PM cohort, and joined by a ex-AI PM from Google, Corey. I don't think Corey is here today, right? No, yeah, he's not on the call. Okay. Why am I here? I am super passionate about the AI and ML space. And I do want to help grow the AI MLPM community because I think we're still at a very early stage for this field. And I just love sharing. I want to share my past experience, some of my success, a lot of my failures to help you jumpstart your AI PM career. So welcome. Nice to meet all of you guys. Back to you,
All
Beijing.
right, thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit about what we're gonna go over. And I think this is very interesting slide that I think it kind of captures what's really happening in the industry, especially in the world of AI. For a long time, this was more of a data science or engineering task. This was like driven by engineering and data scientists. They were doing a lot of research, trying to kind of figure out, how do you actually have some sort of a technology stack that delivers at least artificial intelligence in some like basic forms, shapes and form. And one could argue that rule-based systems that we have been working with over the past 20 years, maybe they were like kind of the initial versions of it, but AI in the form that we understand today was not really available to us until very recently. And about 4 or 5 years ago, things started shifting. There was kind of more of a focus on talking about AI and really talking about the potential because people could start imagining how AI and ML is going to change the world. But given the technology wasn't there, initially this focus was mostly on the marketing side. So a lot of companies got funded. A lot of visions were communicated. People could start imagining how things are going to work, but a lot of them started kind of not delivering on their promises until about a couple of years ago when the world was kind of shocked at how AI and ML can actually start having practical applications. And this is when I'm talking about the world, I'm talking about kind of people outside the AI and ML community. And all of a sudden you had a product that basically showcased how AI and ML could actually solve real world problems, whether it's education, healthcare, image detection, and all these other things. And with the rise of Gen AI and ChatGPT, a lot of companies actually started getting also funded because they could start imagining even more use cases. And in a world where there's kind of abundance of funds available, abundance of capital, and there is like an abundance of engineering resources and marketing resources, what becomes important is delivering on those promises and like really turning those visions into reality. And who does that better than anybody else is product managers, right? Like you need to kind of apply product management skills to turn a vision on an idea into a real product, do the trade-offs. And in order for you to do that, you have to have really deep technical understandings of how that part works. And that's what we're all about at PM Exercises, really kind of building that foundation. So what we're going to talk about today to kind of see how that, could translate into an opportunity for us at a very high level is what are some of the hidden PM opportunities from an artificial intelligence industry perspective? I'll talk a little bit about, why I'm talking about hidden and like what I mean by that. The other part is if you come across as an opportunity, is that sufficient, right? Like, if you get introduced to another company or, you send your resume, is that sufficient? Reality is that's not sufficient because there are many other competitors who are also aiming for the same role. So not only that, you have to kind of make yourself look attractive to them so that they're willing to kind of pick up the phone or like send you an email to have a conversation. You have to be able to also pass the interview and the evaluation process, right? And we'll talk a little bit about the AI product management learning later during this session. So this is what we're going to cover at a very high level. And what's interesting is that typically we think of like getting hired funnel as you send your resume or you get a referral and you get hired, right? But the reality is that's not the case. This is not how things are done. Even though we continue thinking maybe in our subconscious level that this is how you can land a job, this is not the reality. You just submitting your resume or getting a referral does not mean that you're gonna land the job. And the best way for me to kind of I think make you kind of realize this as a fact is to like think back about the last time you were actually able to land a job this way, right? Or do you know anybody who's ever landed a job this way? And probably the answer is no, right? Just because you get a referral or you get a resume sent, you're not gonna land your job. You're not gonna get hired. The right way to do it is somehow you become an interesting candidate that comes under the radar. And there's so many ways for us to do this. Resume is only one of them, right? But more important is for you to pass the evaluation step, right? And guess what? Any company that's good, that's really trying to build a meaningful team in the space of AI and ML, they're going to make sure that they're doing a pretty good job in hiring people on the AI and ML side. And what it means is that they're gonna be very careful with their hiring process. They're gonna be very selective. They're gonna make you go through a rigorous hire interview process. And that's usually where we fall short. This is where we usually fail. So the only way for you to really land a job is for you to pass that evaluation process. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means over the next few slides. I think this is going to be pretty helpful for the existing cohort members, some of the alumni, and also like people that are currently evaluating whether or not they want to be part of the next learning program on AI product management. So the first thing that we're going to kind of ask ourselves is, okay, how do I come across as an opportunity, right? For me to actually even be an interesting candidate in the eyes of the potential hiring manager, right? And the reality is that there are a lot of positions out there, right, that you can apply for. But the real opportunities are not the ones that are advertised. They're the ones that nobody knows about. Maybe the company hasn't even decided that they're going to hire an individual. And they would only like get that position available once they see that, oh, there's somebody who, if they come on board, they would be perfect for this problem that they were dealing with, and they were not clear how to address, right? And there are a couple different ways to kind of go about coming across this opportunity. I think one of those opportunities is getting referrals. Yes, that's very important. This doesn't mean that you're going to actually land the job. That's very helpful. I've basically received a lot of offers from friends or other connections to my previous employers' staff because somebody said, oh, Bijan came in, did this, like you should talk to them, right? That's a great way. And that usually means that you get that third-party approval that makes things easier. But this referral model works really well when you have a strong track record, right? You have a strong track record, then it makes sense because they're like, oh, we want you because we heard you've done a great job in this particular area in this field, right? And the other part is self-source, right? And when I say self-source, I'll kind of give you an example on how you can self-source these opportunities, kind of create these opportunities yourself. And once you create those opportunities, you still have to basically make sure that you pass the evaluation phase, right? So I got like a couple of examples of like, how these opportunities could exist in the real world. This is like a kind of a real example of my situation, right? Like I sent out an email to somebody and I'm like, hey, I'm very interested in, working with your company and I would like to learn more about you. And guess what? They replied back and we ended up actually talking and I ended up doing a consulting gig for them for a while. I was very interested in their technology. And here's another example. This turned into a full-time opportunity. I reached out basically a company that I was very interested in. I told them I heard about you guys. I would like to know if there's a chance for me to be part of your team. I just heard you guys raised money. And they didn't even have an opening, right? And the CEO emailed back and said, yes, I'm very interested in being part of your team. I'm very interested in you joining our team. They invited me. I flew down to San Francisco, and next thing you know, I joined them as a full-time staff. So I think this is kind of an example of how I created opportunities for myself. It's something that definitely works. And the way I do it, the way I come across them is I know what I'm interested in. Maybe I use like Google Alert to be notified about every single content that's generated in my area of interest. I spend a lot of time on like, LinkedIn or X or any other platform or like popular tech-related sites to be informed of any developments in that space. And if I see something, I just reach out to them, right? And I've also not listed a lot of examples of situations where I didn't get a response, right? So it's very important for us to kind of realize it's not guaranteed to be a success, but it just shows that this method works, and you have to kind of be willing to put yourself out there and reach out so that they start evaluating you. And I want to emphasize and say this doesn't mean that you're going to get the job. It just means that now you've solved the very first step, which is, okay, this is an interesting candidate and we're willing to evaluate them, right? So I kind of like, a couple of things to highlight. How does cold approaches work? First of all, you don't have to have a job experience in that particular area. You need to have an experience, right? And it's very important for us to realize this, especially in emerging industries like artificial intelligence, because a lot of you who are thinking about breaking into AI, you're probably thinking in your head, I don't have a full-time AI product manager experience, but that's okay. You can actually create that by becoming expert, spending time to read on things that you think are important, generating content that represents you have some sort of a thought leadership, and your experience and knowledge has reached a point where you can actually have your own independent opinion. And you have other ways for you to gain that experience. And one thing that I'll highlight throughout this presentation is hackathons, like the power of hackathons. You're going to hackathons where you're going to meet a bunch of other people who are actually very interested in sharing their knowledge with you. Like, how great is that? Like, they're actually passionate about finding somebody who's willing to listen to them and is willing to learn from them. And they're very happy to do that. And what this will do is over time, it'll make you more attractive as a candidate. It'll help you kind of develop a deeper understanding of what different companies do, particularly the company that you're aiming for, right? And this will allow you also be more selective on the type of companies that you want to go after, right? It also shows that you're passionate, right? It shows that you actually are interested in this, not just because of the salary job. You're not going to be a 9 to 5 type of a person. You're going to be somebody who's actually very interested. Even once you land your job, you're going to continue developing your skill set and your knowledge, maybe outside the working hours. And that, that's exactly what an employer wants, right? And you also want to kind of show that you're willing to make sacrifices when you're entering a new space in an area where you don't have necessarily a lot of full-time experience. And what I mean by sacrificing is, for example, sometimes it means making a sacrifice on a title. Sometimes it means making a sacrifice on your salary, because let's face it, they're taking a risk on you. And if you really want to kind of maximize on your compensation, you're better off working in an area where you already have a lot of expertise and you're kind of like capturing all the fruits that are already grown, right? So whereas here you're kind of entering into a new space, given that they're taking a risk on you, there's going to be a discounted price you can think of it on your services, and you have to be realistic and accept that in the hope that in the long run, right, you will become an attractive candidate to more companies, and eventually you become an expert in the field that everybody wants. So that's something for you to kind of keep in mind. Like, when does cold approaches work? Well, before I send those emails, I already went to a lot of hackathons. I already attended a lot of events. I published my own paper on a particular topic that I was interested in. I could kind of refer to it. It made them see that I'm a thought leader. And I told them, I just want to be part of your team. I don't care what I'm going to be doing, right? And that was very important. So now the question is going to become, how do you pass the evaluation process, right? And the reality is, on the surface, it sounds like they basically want you to have all these great attributes that sometimes are kind of conflicting with each other, right? For example, it's a new space. Like, how can you expect all your hires to have a lot of experience in this field, right? Until 3 years ago, maybe the number of people that were working as AI product managers were 3 digits. So that's a reality. And there, many other kind of examples like this that we as PMs would probably experience. But this doesn't mean that there's no opportunity. So there's a couple ways for you to kind of become that attractive candidate. One, like I mentioned, really becoming an AI PM before you land the job, right? And the way you do that is by practicing those set of skill sets wherever you get a chance, right? Through community events or like hackathons. And building products. Like there's nothing more important than actually building something that you can present and you can kind of talk about. Because when you actually build a product, that's when you start realizing some of the limitations of the technology. So you can have an intelligent conversation. It's somebody actually mentioned to me once that people that do well in interviews, they think of a job interview as an intellectual conversation between two smart people. And I thought it was very interesting, especially when you're aiming for a company that's very attractive to a large number of intelligent people. That's a good way of thinking about it. And the best way for you to handle that conversation is for you to be able to talk intelligently about kind of the nuances of the tech stack. And the best way for you to learn that is through building things, right? Like building a PRD. And if it's possible, especially with no-code tools or attending like a hackathon, even turning that into some sort of a prototype that allows you to kind of see those like limitations in the real world. And then writing about it. There's nothing like writing when it comes to learning. It's very hard. It's very hard to be authentic. And good news is that in the world of AI and ML, there's so many areas that are kind of just like kind of scratching the surface right now. You can kind of go really deep in one particular area. We had somebody that actually went really deep on one particular metric for one particular company. And he published a interesting blog post about it. And after the blog post was published, he started receiving a lot of contacts, a lot of interest from people on LinkedIn, like recruiters saying, oh, we really like this blog post that you published, we'd like to talk to you. But it needs to be genuinely written by you and should represent that you actually have your independent thoughts. And once you kind of reach that level, then you're actually able to see yourself available for many opportunities. And this is going to be a marathon more than a sprint. That's the reality, but it is possible. So then, how do you actually ace the interview? I think there's a couple of things that it's really important for us to realize is, there's like the kind of the traditional PM skills that are very relevant, like, knowing how to do product sense and how to do strategy questions and behavioral. You have to continue being able to pass those kinds of questions, and PM exercises had a lot of good examples. But you also need to have a very AI specific knowledge, right? And this really comes down to you understanding what's important for an AI product manager, right? For example, how does an AI product manager get involved on the data strategy side? Or how much does an AI product manager get involved on ML ops? Because you're going to have to be able to have a meaningful conversation with some of your future colleagues. And some of those future colleagues are, the data scientists and ML engineers, right? Here's the good news. You can actually simulate those conversations before the interviews. And you can do that, like I said, whether through like a physical event, like a hackathon, or through your, personal contacts, attending online communities or physical communities or events. But that's what you need to do in order for you to be able to have a comfortable conversation with these people, because people like data scientists and ML engineers are very likely, or at least their criteria for a good hiring process is very likely to be part of the interview process, right? So what you have to do is kind of like, practice for that and make sure that you can do well. And you need to have a very strong story to share. And that strong story, ideally, if it's very attractive, it'll actually take most of the interview time, and you'll be able to kind of define the rules of the game during the interview instead of letting them kind of take you in any direction that they like and like kind of trying to find a gotcha moment, right? And the best way to do that is to, like I said, build something that you find interesting. That's probably better than investing even in a learning program. And you still need to kind of practice a lot. It's interesting to me, like I've seen people that have landed great jobs at top tech companies, like for example, Google and Facebook. Many of them just on the mock interview side, they've done over 100 mock interviews. That means over 100 hours, right? Of course, that's not the case with everybody, but it's important for us to be aware of. And couple notes here for the cohort members on cohort 5. If you guys are interested, if you're kind of practicing for your AI PM interviews, feel free to reach out to me or Audrey, and we'll be happy to match you guys with some of the other alumni of the previous cohorts who are also practicing for their interviews. That's one of the benefits of the community. You guys can practice and kind of improve, help each other grow and get better in your interviews. And the other thing that we'll be doing is that we will be also providing you with the cohort 5 people with an AI PM interview guide sometime next week. This is almost ready. We're very excited about sharing it with you, and we will also share this with some of the with the alumni of the previous cohorts as well. So hopefully that'll help you guys become more prepared for the interviews to come. So I'll kind of quickly talk about what's going on the AI product management side at PM Exercises. We think that we try to bring everything that I talked about together during the cohort. Some people have been going through it right now. So I want to talk about this slide quickly, and then I'm going to pass it to Kai to kind of dig more into it. But like one thing that I'll also mention is that you will get access to all the learning material for a period of 3 years. This is very important, I think, especially given the industry is evolving. You get access to experts, and there are a lot of experts, right? There is like the instructors in the learning program. There will be guest speaker opportunities that will also invite people from the previous cohorts too. So you'll also be able to kind of attend those. And then there will be like a good opportunity for you to kind of learn about some of the emerging applications in AI and what sort of PM roles are evolving in each of those areas, because you want to kind of play in an area where not a lot of players are out there, or like I had a teacher back in school, he used to say, you want to fish in a lake where nobody else is fishing, right? So that's kind of like something for you to define. And, what do you define fishing? Maybe it's your expertise. Maybe it's the fact that the industry is not being paid attention to, but hopefully you'll get a sense of that. You'll get access to the community of AI product managers. We meet every Saturday, as you're aware. There'll be some job opportunities, but I want to kind of emphasize and say, this is very important for you to kind of be aware of, because we're happy to do the intros, but if you or you're not attractive to the employer, and you won't pass the evaluation, right? You're just going to burn those chances. So there's no guarantees or anything in here, but if one of the cohort members right now or alumni are interested, please reach out to us, and we're happy to do intros and help you out. But let's make sure that your package is attractive, and it's almost like a no-brainer for the other side to hire you, right? And we do a lot of kind of like team-based workshops and product building. Anybody who graduates we can talk about like a particular PRD that they worked on. And it's got a very kind of a VC style format towards the end, where you actually get to present your idea to a panel of judges, and they'll evaluate you and they'll give you real feedback. I'm really impressed by the quality of the projects that are being developed right now. We have about 10 projects, and they're really amazing projects. A couple of them are totally fundable. So very impressed. And here's the good news: because you work in a team, you'll learn a lot from your colleagues. A couple of people asked that we assign them like study partners, and we've done that. Actually, more than a couple, like about 10 people. And that's one way for you to kind of get more from the community. Another way is you're going to be part of a team that's going to be developing the PRD that you can even turn into a product after the graduation. We'll also give you some additional bonuses, some access to the PM Exercises platform. You get access to the assistant for AI for product managers, Product Monkey. It's a tool that converts your any design files into detail engineering tasks. and PRDs. And this is a really good tool for anybody who wants to basically save time and kind of outsource some of their monkey tasks. And these are everything here is very hands-on, as some of the people in the current cohort can tell. We do spend some time kind of going over your resumes, giving you feedback, and we're pretty honest, to be honest. Like sometimes it might feel very harsh, but we optimize for your success. So we tell you, look, you need to go and like really improve your resume this way. For example, if your resume doesn't mention anything about AI, there's no hint of it, it's very unlikely that you're going to be successful, right? In landing an AI PM job. So if now you have to have a resume that really speaks and breathes AI product management, then that means you have to do a different set of activities, and sometimes means a couple months of work from you to kind of reach a point where you can proudly present your resume for an AI PM role. And we're happy to provide all that guidance. And like I said, we will be happy to do intros if you're ready. And at some point, I've said to people, if you're very interested, I'm happy to go ahead and do it right now. But you got to make sure that you're ready if you want to be successful, at least on your side. So that's a little bit about the AI PM learning program that's starting in May. Good news is that we're going to have 3 different tracks. Like one is on Tuesday evenings, another one is on Thursday morning, and another one is on Saturday morning. So hopefully anybody who's kind of considering attending and they're worried about their time zones and whether or not they're able to attend, they'll probably find one of these sessions to work for them, and they can attend that. And over time, they'll kind of build their team and they'll become more familiar with the rest of the community. And this is going to be a great community for you and for your career going forward. So with that said, I want to pass it to Kai. I'll quickly talk about this one last slide too. But like, who are the cohort participants really? A couple of people asked that question earlier. These are mostly people that are existing product managers. I would say about 90% or so of our cohort participants are existing product managers that worked for anywhere between 2 to 3 or even like 10, 15 years as product managers. Sometimes they're directors or VPs. We have a few entrepreneurs that are looking to start an AI product manager business. They're starting an AI first product. But most of them are looking to break into AI product management. They want to learn how AI and ML work and how to PM them. And this really means a lot of technical knowledge that you need to have. You don't need to have any technical knowledge before attending. We'll work on your PM skill. As long as you have PM skills, that's good enough. Like, we can take care of the rest. And you have to realistically commit somewhere between like 5 to 7 hours per week. If you want to get the most out of it, I would say like aim for like 10 to 15 because the learning material is going to be there. Good news is, even if you don't get a chance to kind of go through it, you can actually do it after you graduate from the cohort. All the recordings will be available to you. This is great if you're interested in continuous learning, because continuous learning is what's very necessary in the world of AI product management. But one thing I can tell you is you're not going to get the kind of basic product management 101. That's not what this cohort is all about. This is about much kind of further than that, much deeper than that. So thank you so much for listening to me. I'll pass it to Kai. Maybe Kai can talk a little bit about the program, and we can go from there.
Yep. Thanks, Bijan. So let's talk about a little bit more about the content of this cohort. But before that, let's actually take a look at what are the desired or required skill sets for AI PM. Just want to make it clear, all the skill sets for traditional software product managers are still required for being an AI PM. These are user empathy, business sense, product design, technical depth. But additionally, to be a successful AI PM, you need additional skill sets. First of all, your AI ML technical foundations. This is besides the traditional software development technical foundations. Now you need to know what is AI, what are different types of models, how to build the models, and their applications, how to manage the model lifecycle, all things like that. And then the ML problem definition. So after defining your business problem, how do you actually translate that into a machine learning problem? And more importantly, do you even need machine learning to solve this problem? Do you just use the traditional way, or do you actually need machine learning? So that's something as a PM you need to decide. So you need to know how to do that. And third is about data. Do you understand data? Where to collect data? Because the data is a key part of any of the machine learning systems. Do you know how to come up with a successful data strategy? Things like what are the data sources? How to collect the data? What type of data do you need to solve this exact machine learning problem? And how do you process data? And all the way to how do you visualize the data at the end, right? And then very importantly, how do you actually manage the machine learning lifecycle from starting from collecting data, as we just mentioned, to training a model, evaluating a model, deploying a model, and monitoring a model. And if the model performance degrades, how do you retrain a model with the fresh data? And the risk mitigation, your machine learning systems will make mistake. That's just the nature of machine learning. When that happens, what do? Do you have a fallback plan? And also, risk management also applies to the project management side of AI product development. And because the AI product development life cycle is very iterative, is way more complicated compared to the traditional software development. So how do you manage that AI project efficiently? That's something we need to talk about. And explainability. Usually the traditional software is easy to explain because it's just followed by rules. But the AI products sometimes is treated as a black box. But a lot of times you need to explain your model behaviors, why your model is making this prediction, especially when you apply AI in space like financial, finance, and also when you apply this to safety or legal and law. So you have to explain your model performance. That's something as AI PM, you need to understand how to do it. And lastly, responsible AI. How do you detect the bias in your system? How do you make sure it's actually fair to different user cohorts? Can you go to the next slide, Vijay? So to help you develop all these skill sets we just mentioned, we purposely designed the agenda for this cohort. We will start with the AI ML foundation. We'll talk about what are data, where to collect data, what are features, how to do feature engineering, different types of machine learning models and algorithms, where to apply them, how to build them, and also how do you evaluate your model performance and your application performance, and a lot more. And then in week one, we start with the AI product problem definition. And we introduce a framework to help you decide whether your problem is good for machine learning to solve, or you can just use the traditional rule-based system. And we run a live workshop in the live session to apply that framework to solve some of the the scenarios and use cases. And in week two, we move on. Once we have the problem defined, in week two, we move on to the design. We introduce the key principles to design the AI products. And again, we'll introduce you a design framework for AI products. There are 15 steps. I think it's more than 15 steps you need to follow to define to design a AI product properly. And again, we'll run a live workshop. There's some scenarios. You will see how do we apply this design framework to solve those use cases. And after product design is done, after your requirements are ready, now you can pass it on for your engineering team to build the product. And that's what we're going to talk about in week 3, the ML ops. How do you actually build and launch the build the machine learning product and launch it into production, and also maintain its performance in production. And in week 4, we finally talk about once the model is ready, application is built. Now we talk about AI product launch. And also we introduce a framework for you to apply the responsible AI to your product. Make sure it actually works as expected. So you can probably tell through week 1 and week 4, we are actually focused on each part, some part of your PRD. Right? We start from problem definition, then move on to design and requirements, then move on to build a product, and then product launch. So that's exactly what we're doing. We aim to actually build an end-to-end PRD through this cohort, and that's a PRD you can actually take to your engineering team to build a real product. And at the end of the cohort, we have a bonus week. This is when all the teams got to present their product ideas, just like a product pitch. So yeah, very exciting content. Hopefully I'll see all of you there. Back to you, Abhijit.
All right, thank you very much. So at a very high level, anybody who is interested in applying, please use this URL. So I've shared this on LinkedIn, and anybody who's on Zoom, I'm just going to share it with you in a second after I stop sharing my screen. But next cohort starts on the second week of May. And please feel free to submit your applications. We're reviewing them. We've already got a lot of people who have signed up for the next cohort. So very excited that we're going to be part of this program with you guys. So yes, I'm going to share the link in a second. Chetan, I can see your question, your comment. But let me kind of take a second and then see if people have any questions. We would be happy to answer them. Here's the link. I'm not sure why. Give me 1 second. I'll just quickly share that. I'm not sure why it's kind of sharing it the way you're seeing it. The ending is supposed to have AI product manager. But let me see if there are any other questions that are posted. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that we need to discuss? Feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, kind of make it easier for myself to see what's going on. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Kai. And I've shared the link on comments as well. Okay, somebody messaged me asking what does like kind of personal support look like? So as part of the program, you're more than welcome to book a time in my calendar or Kai's calendar or Corey's calendar, and we're happy to kind of give you any advice or any help that you would need at a personal level. But one thing, we kind of emphasize on is to make sure that you come to us for like things that are very important. Otherwise, there will be a community to support you. We'll have a forum that you can post questions now. We started kind of rolling it out halfway through cohort 5, but now in cohort 6, the forum is going to be kind of the default. So that'll work great as well. And yes, somebody's asking if I can send them a copy of the presentation. Yes, I'm happy to do that as well. So we'll share that link afterwards. But yeah, so like you would be able to have access to us as well. And as you're kind of working through your PRD, sometimes you might come across questions or you kind of get stuck somewhere. We will be giving you feedback. We'll kind of guide you through it. But we intentionally not get involved in like certain steps like giving you an idea, for example, for a product, right? Because I brought up a really good point earlier in the school where it's like they're PMs. They're supposed to be able to do this themselves. So we're happy to help you with those things if you kind of get stuck. But I think the goal is for you to kind of over time get more and more comfortable with asking these questions yourself. Another person asked if the learning material will be available afterwards. The answer is yes, they'll be available. And like I said, because the industry is like kind of evolving so quickly, there will be a lot of like new learning material as time goes by. And all this new learning material will be available to you for the next 3 years. So hopefully that kind of puts you at ease that what you're going to go through is going to be relevant like a year or 2 from now, because you can kind of rely back on it and kind of stay updated with what's going on. Okay, one more private question, like how many hours really you need. I think, yeah, we talked about that. Like, I would say 5 to 7 to get the basics and like kind of really understand what's going on in the cohort. But if you want to get the most out of it, like you can spend like 10 to 15 hours, to be honest. Like, we have a lot of content that we call them optional. You don't have to necessarily like read them or like spend time on them, but if you do, I think it's a good thing. And there's a lot of like recordings from like previous sessions that we've had, or like guest speakers where we had like a CEO of a company come in and kind of shared their experience from a product perspective. You don't really have to listen to those things, but I think what happens is you kind of spend more time in the space, you get more and more comfortable with the language, and you get better at it. So that was another question that somebody asked. Let me see if there's anything else that's coming in. Okay, no, I think that's it for now. Anything else that anybody would like to add? Otherwise, I will be wrapping up the session. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming in. Really appreciate it. And I'm very excited to go through this with Kai again, the next cohort. I think this cohort was amazing. Hopefully, people got a lot of value out of it. And yeah, looking forward to having a bigger community of AI product managers, right? So thank you so much. Somebody asked, how many weeks is the cohort that starts in May? So yes, like I said, it would be 4 weeks, but it's 4 weeks. We have 1 week of like kind of we call it the bonus week at the end, where we still give you guys some additional learning material that's kind of optional. You can take it, don't take it if you don't want to, but there will be a demo period. That's when you actually be presenting to the rest of the cohort, and hopefully this will be an opportunity for you to also learn more about what everybody else is doing. And there will be also like kind of we call it like a week 0, which is the week before we actually start going deep into both AI and ML and product management side of it. Basically, we spend 1 week making sure that you have like some foundational knowledge, right? Like, you need to know how neural networks work before we can even have any sort of meaningful conversation. So if you add all this, really, it's like 6 weeks. But technically it's 4 weeks, because technically it's 6 weeks, but officially it's like 4 weeks, because there's a pre-read week and then there's a bonus week that we offer. Let me see what other questions. People are still asking me, sending me questions, so I'm going to answer. So somebody asked, how can I connect with you? Shoot me an email, bijan@pme, right? You guys probably have my personal email. Just shoot me an email, and we can go from there. If there's anything related to the cohort, I'd be happy to answer. Let me see what else, if anybody else is posting anything else. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think this is it for now. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Kai, any final words before I wrap it up?
No, I think you've covered everything.
All right,
Hopefully,
perfect.
you guys in the cohort 6.
Yeah, hope to see you guys in cohort 6, and have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.